You might think the home buying game here in Washington state is absolutely rigged with hidden fees, surprise charges, but you can do this. We've helped thousands of home buyers do this here in Washington state. And in this video, we're going to break down for you every cost that's going to show up for you to get to closing and buy your home. Even the sneaky ones, the hidden ones, so you're never blindsided in a real estate transaction. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how much cash that you're going to need in order to be able to buy a home, where you need to push back, and where you need to shave some things off so you can save thousands on the purchase of your property. And this was done for one of our listeners, one of our subscribers. When you guys drop us comments or questions, we will do everything humanly possible to come back and make the content that you have asked for. So drop your questions below. Happy to answer them and help you buy a home. I'm Anton Stettner. I live here in the Seattle Metro. I've been selling real estate here for over 22 years. I own brokerages. I have a real estate sales team, and we've done thousands of transactions as real estate agents here. And here's what you need to know. Why do closing costs matter? Closing costs matter because that's what kills a deal. This is what you have to bring to the table in order to be able to buy. The typical closing cost for a buyer in Washington state is going to be between 2 to 2.5% of the purchase price. So simply take the dollar value that you're purchasing, let's call it 600 grand, times 2% or 2.5%. That's about the amount of cash you're going to need for your closing costs. But there are other specific fees that we're going to have to pay attention to, and we'll show you during this video a breakdown of each one. In addition to the closing costs, of course, you're going to have to bring in a down payment. But, and we'll get to the but here in a second. So the down payment, generally speaking, could be FHA, which is 3.5% of the purchase price. It could be VA if you are a veteran, which is 0, phenomenal benefit for veterans, which could be conventional, which is sometimes as low as 3%, 5%, 10%. Please understand, it doesn't take 20% down to buy a home. And if you do put the 20% down, what happens is you then will save mortgage insurance. That's one of those hidden fees. And I've got some even better news. There are programs for first-time home buyers where you may be able to buy a property with 0 down. I'm talking 0. All you have to do is pay the closing costs. But wait, we may even be able to get those closing costs paid for by the seller. So the dream of home ownership is closer than you think. We're going to have to talk about your situation specifically, get you over to one of our amazing lenders, and figure out if you can qualify for one of those programs. Now let's get into all the specific fees. We brought up lenders. I got to get into a secret here. The box banks don't like you. They don't want to help you. You are only a number. Our recommendation right up front is we're going to go to a mortgage banker, a mortgage professional who doesn't work at a box bank. A box bank is never going to give you updates on the weekend, call you when you need a pre-approval letter at 6 p.m. at night, allow us to talk to someone in underwriting when there's a major problem to be solved. We need to go to someone who's going to go shop you around to get the best loan package for you, the buyer. So one, we're not going to go to box banks. We're going to go to amazing lenders. And two, the lender fees are generally around 1% of the purchase price. That's included in the original amount I told you, but you have to pay someone to get the money for the loan. These lender fees are the loan origination fee, which is the biggest one, a credit report fee, a rate lock, an extension, discount points, and the appraisal. Discount points are when you choose to pay extra money up front, or maybe we get it from the seller as a credit to get you a lower interest rate to make the payment more affordable on a monthly basis. Discount points can be phenomenal, but sometimes they can be expensive. In today's market, you're probably looking at a few $1,000s to get between 1/8 of a point or 1/4 point off of today's rate. So that's why we're going to shop around. We're going to look at ones that got the best discount points in order to get you the best deal. So I already mentioned the appraisal, but the appraisal and inspection and surveys or special things, that kind of falls into what we call our hidden fees. See, generally speaking, the appraisal is going to be paid for by the buyer upfront during the process. Assume you're going to spend about $750 on that. And of course, it can be higher if the property is more complex, or if you got a special loan, or if we're going to have to run a rush in regards to it. The home inspection, and we'd always recommend you get an inspection on the property. Please don't buy properties, especially really old ones, especially in parts of Washington where they get a lot of rain. Oh wait, that's all of Western Washington. We've got a harsh climate. Get the property inspected, protect your investment. Even if you're in a bidding war, please pay the money for the pre-inspection, get it done up front, protect your investment. That inspection is going to cost you between $500 to $750. That's going to come out of your pocket also right up front. An additional inspection that a lot of buyers end up paying for is also what's called a sewer scope. If you're in an area that doesn't have new sewer lines, or it's prone to the old, literally clay ones, or possibly collapsing, or there's a giant fruit tree in the front yard, you probably want to spend a little bit extra and get a sewer scope. They literally stick a camera down there to make sure it's not collapsed. One of my friends just bought a property. Like I said, we also do a lot of investments, do a lot of first-time home buyers. This was an investment property. There was a need to close on it quickly. They didn't do a sewer scope. It cost them $38,000. I'm not trying to scare you, but this is real life. They had to cut up the whole driveway. They had to cut up the road. They had to go down to the main sewer line and re-tap it, and it was 12 feet deep. Other potential hidden fees could also be a survey. When you look at a property, it doesn't mean the fence is in the right spot. It doesn't mean the hedge is in the right spot. It doesn't mean the garage is in the right spot. The only way to prove that it is your property is you have to get a survey. They mark all four corners of the property. Surveys start at about $2,500. They are not required. But if it's not clear where the property boundaries start and end, you may want to spend that additional money. Next, you have your settlement costs. This is your title fee and your escrow fee. The title search and examination is to prove that the seller can convey to you clear title. It's also to prove that you have clear title in your name. As the buyer, you're actually paying for the title insurance for the lender. Okay? It, of course, provides you protections, but you're paying for what is known as the lender's policy. The escrow agent or the attorney is the neutral third party in the real estate transaction. They're the ones that hold your earnest money, and they charge you a closing fee to review the title report, to bring in all the lender docs, and then to get everything signed and done. And your title report is going to be somewhere between $800 to $1,500. Generally speaking, that closing fee is going to be around $1,500. And stick around, because in these next two, we've got a set of hidden fees that I want you to watch out for. So now we go into government fees and recording fees, or prorations. So first off, as you sign for the deed, they're going to have to pay a recording fee down at the county. Bless you, all of you counties, but holy cow, all of the fees just literally tripled at these counties for recording. It used to cost $150 to $200, and now it costs $600 for them to record something. I can't wait for AI to just do this for us and it to be done on the blockchain. This should cost $25. Generally speaking, there's a transfer tax, which is an excise tax, which is paid by the seller. Generally speaking, I need you to make sure in the purchase and sale, you are not paying that. Customarily, it is a seller expense, but if they write in the offer, you as the buyer could pick this up. That's going to start at 1% of the purchase price and go as high as 3%. This is a very big deal that you have to pay attention to. Also, you're going to pay your proration of property taxes. So when you close during the year, may create additional fees. Property taxes are paid twice a year. If you can time your closing correctly, you're going to pay less proration upfront of property taxes, which cost you less to close on the property. Other fees that escrow collects as prepaid are also fees we need you to completely watch out for. This is your taxes, this is your homeowner's insurance, and this is your HOA. So they prepay your homeowner's insurance, generally speaking, for the first year. A hidden fee, or something to watch out for, is if you are in a floodplain, or an area that floods, or is one that is prone to wildfires, or one that is prone to slippage of the earth. In other words, it might just fall away. you will end up paying higher fees for being in a landslide area or a flood area or a fire area. Check the maps. You don't want to pay extra, especially if you're right on the boundary. We talked about the 1 year of insurance. We talked about the prepaying of taxes, but you also prepay interest on the loan. So the later in the month you close, the less interest is due. So in an ideal situation, you would close on like the 28th, the 29th, or the 30th versus the 1st or the 2nd, because then you're not going to have to pay a full month's of interest at closing. Also, you're going to end up paying for HOA fees. I need you to go research the HOA to make sure they have adequate reserves and they have no pending special assessments. I don't want you to buy a home and all of a sudden get hit with a $10,000 fee because the HOA's got a special assessment coming. That would just kill the deal. And the reason you're looking for adequate reserves is we want to make sure that your HOA fees aren't going to rise dramatically during your home ownership. If you time your real estate deal wrong and you get these prepaids wrong, this could be the difference between you being able to afford your closing costs and then coming up short at the closing table and having to go borrow money from mom, dad, dear Aunt Tilly, or maybe not even get the home. So let's get this taken care of right up front. Junk fees that they like to hide inside of this that you should be pushing back on or just double checking to make sure that they are the standard. We talked about flood certification, how that will cost extra. Just make sure they're not overcharging you. There are some times where they're going to try to also do a zoning determination. They're going to get you with courier fees, shipping fees, overnight fees, wire fees, document fees, HOA fees, legal fees, admin fees. Just make sure they're normal. They are going to be on there, but ask the question like, is this normal? If it says $2,000 for a notary, that's not normal. So once again, let's just kind of break this down and bring this all back together. I want you thinking about this in a very simple manner. One, we're going to find you an amazing mortgage broker for you to get pre-approved with, figure out what the monthly payment's going to be, and to hold your hand during the process and explain the fees. Two, once you're pre-approved, then we'll go shopping for the home, find the right home, and when we get that under contract, we're then going to figure out all the fees associated with it and get them put in a more concrete manner. And for your budgeting perspective, you're going to budget in closing costs 2 to 2.5% of the purchase price. That doesn't include buy down. That doesn't include hidden fees, plus your down payment. And that down payment is going to be somewhere between 0, 3%, 5%, 10%, or 20%, depending on where you sit. So in a $700,000 home, if you have 2% in closing fees, it's going to be about $14,000. If you had a 3% down payment, that's going to be $21,000. So in this example, that's going to be about $35,000 down. Once again, there are 0 down programs and there are programs for buyers with even more down. There's programs for everyone. We got to figure out the right one for you and the right one for your situation. I'm Anton Stettner. If this has been helpful, hit that subscribe button. We love talking about real estate here in Washington State, here throughout the Seattle Metro, helping you on your home buying journey. If you guys have any questions, because we didn't cover it in this video, just simply drop your questions below. We'll do our best to get back to each and every one of them.